Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. See ya.
I thought you were gonna ask me like who are the people that helped me the most in my career, and I was gonna say the person who has that her hand raised to talk next. So mhm.
Hi, Bianca.
Hi.
Congrats. I'm so proud of you. And I would like to ask you. So first of all, yes, thank you for everything that you've been doing. I think that you're leveraging our Brazilian creativity worldwide. And thank you for that. And we know that we just see the success, but the failure, it's with us every day. And what do you do? How you deal with this, with your teams, with your, like with ideas that really don't go ahead and don't move forward, how you deal with that? And with your teams as well, because it's frustrating sometimes for the teams and we have to deal with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. First of all, it's an honor to see you here. Just for those who don't know, Andrea is like the most badass, creative ever. And she has been the CCO of multiple places. She's amazing. She was in Brazil. She's like one of those people where, when you talk about women talk about like championing each other and helping, or just in general, like looking out for, younger people in the industry and helping them get ahead. She's like the one that says it, sorry, the one that does it, not like it's actually I was in Brazil trying to come to the US and get an opportunity here to talk about joining JWT. And she worked at JWT in São Paulo at the time. And she took time to meet with me, go through my horrible portfolio, gave me amazing advice, because at that time my portfolio was horrible. I don't know why she just didn't say like, guys, don't talk to this person. But anyway, I ended up coming to JWT New York because of her, and my whole life in New York happened because she was so kind and dedicated her time to help people. But I'll say that nowadays I get less worried when ideas are dead, because I was so passionate about the idea, and more worried about my creatives, that I'm like, I don't want them to lose like steam. I don't want them to be like, upset. I want them to be like, so it's funny kind of how I totally understand what you're saying. But I think what we try to do from like a manager's perspective, I think we are very mindful of who we put on each brief after like the amount of things that they got that were like tough, or like the amount of ideas that were that. So we really keep in mind, and we can do that because we're like right now small and like our teams work on everything, but we do feel like, oh man, that team was like really on back-to-back really tough briefs, and briefs that didn't go anywhere, or a brief that was that the client like bought the idea, produced the idea, and then it didn't run. So like we need to give them a juicy one. So let's get this brief that we know it's going to happen by Thanksgiving. Let's only put them in it and like have them produce something, because creatives get fulfilled by producing. So like, let's try to do that. Beyond that, I think it goes a little back to resilience being like the thing that like either makes it or break you, because the most successful teams are the resilient ones. I don't think I've ever been the creative that had the brilliant idea in the shower, and when I like got the brief, I'm like, oh, I got it, and it's like this bombastic idea. Never. Like I was never that person. I was always like trying hard to crack the brief and like learn how to have ideas. But I think I was always very like, okay, what's the next one? Okay, this time it didn't go. Like I never let that make me like the creative that complains all the time, the creative that like makes everything very hard. So I think that's something that you have to try to tell your team of the importance. And sometimes like it's annoying to hear, because you're like, oh, we're going to come up with something even better than that. And Greg is like my boss is like super optimistic in a way that sometimes I'm like, no, I know this is like, nothing's going to come out of this, especially when I was working under him. Was like, this is not a brief that like we can do amazing work for. Let's just get done with it and go to the next one. But being like, optimistic and tireless, I think really makes you better. And I think, I guess then just showing how, to me as a creative, I was always happy about having ideas in the deck that were presented to clients. So I was like, as long as my ideas are going into the client, and it's not like it's okay, if the client kills it, that sucks. But at least like, my creative directors are approving it and it's going to the client. So then I'm going back to my creatives and I'm saying, hey, this was a really tough brief. You have 3 ideas in the deck, or like, hey, You know, this was just like this is you're doing really well. Like things are gonna happen and it takes time. And like, you know, I wish I had, I guess, better advice, but it's like, as long as you are answering briefs and cracking, you know, and getting ideas presented to the clients, that's all you can be doing until like stuff really happens. And it's tough. It's tough. I got like, you get down, you just have to really try to not spend too much time mourning ideas, and really go back to see what you're going to do next and get inspired. But it's tough. It's very
Yeah,
tough.
I totally agree with you. And I really do feel that we are emotional as creatives. We are emotional with the ideas. But
Yeah.
when you are in a position that you're a leader, you really care about the people and about the creatives, and not to make them so frustrated. So I really like that, the way of thinking that, come on, you have ideas on the deck. It was presented to clients. The clients, they didn't get it, but you know, like you're doing good. Good.
Yeah.
Great.
100%. And I think like at the end of the day, you see that like if you are those creatives that like really get frustrated and bummed down and like become hard to work with, you're just not going to go as further because people don't want to be around that kind of. So you just have to, you just learn how to bounce back more and more and more and more, and then you become like easier to to succeed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, and keep up the good work. You're
Thank you
doing
so
great.
much for
Yeah,
coming.
so
I mean,
proud of you.
I'm inspired by you all the time, but yeah, so thank you for joining.